Hello there and welcome to my review of Diamonds Are Forever. However, just before I get started, I would like to point out that at the end of this video I will be running a competition in which you can win a ultraviolet copy of the film Trouble with the Curve, starring Clint Eastwood and Amy Adams. Diamonds Are Forever is officially the last film to star Sean Connery as James Bond. However, he did go on to make Never Say Never Again, which wasn't an Eon production. I may review that when it comes to it in the timeline, I may not. I haven't decided yet. But for now, let's get on with this one. It is nice to have Connery back in the role. He seemed to have been losing interest with his last effort, You Only Live Twice. He was coasting through that film, whereas in this one, he does seem to have a bit of life back, a bit of vigour for the role. However, the film he gets lumped with here is not a very good one. I haven't found a Bond film this unenjoyable since From Russia with Love. Now, I know a lot of people really like that film, but I just found it really dull. This film kind of tries to go the opposite way. It tries to throw everything in there, including the kitchen sink, and as a result, the plot is all over the place. I could very rarely actually figure out what was going on, and there were several times watching this. Obviously I'm watching it on DVD. I had the luxury of being able to rewind it several times, which I had to do just to understand what on earth was going on. The plot is just too convoluted, too confused. There's too much going on. There's this whole diamond smuggling operation, which is blown up into this complete mess involving Blofeld and clones and these two gay henchmen that just kind of jump in and out of the film that don't really seem that attached to anything, to be honest. It's just, the whole film is just a mess from a writing standpoint. Also, the film starts out by having a fairly interesting Bond girl in Tiffany Case. She's quite a strong woman as she starts out, and she has a purpose within the plot. She gets Bond moving, so to speak, but by the end of the film, in the last act of the film, there's really no use for her, and it feels like they're just trying to shoehorn her back into the story. And they turn her into a complete bimbo, a dim-witted bimbo at the end of the film. It seems like too much of a character shift between how she starts out and how she finishes up, and really they needed to just get rid of her when she was no longer needed, because up until that point, up until that last act, she was actually quite a good Bond girl. Charles Gray I don't really like as Blofeld either. I think he's a step down after Telly Savalas, and the character of Blofeld I feel has always been underserved anyway, but Charles Gray does nothing really to bring anything new to the character and any real menace to the character, and again that could be down to the writing. A lot of the set pieces too just fall flat, and a lot of that in many cases is down to mistakes on the production itself. One particularly noticeable standout is when a car goes up on a wall and we switch shots and it's actually up on a different wall, and they solve that in the editing process, but in a completely unconvincing way. And the final set piece as well, again there was some logistical mistakes during the production of this film, in which a lot of the explosions were set off too early, so they just had to kind of shoot on the fly and end up with what they got. And I don't know if that's the reason, but certainly the last set piece in this film just feels flat. It feels stale. It's not exciting in any way at all. All in all, after what we got with on Her Majesty's Secret Service, after the death of Bond's wife at the end of that film, Diamonds Are Forever really should have been able to deal with that in a big way. In fact, this whole film should have really been about that. It should have been about Bond's pursuit of Blofeld because of that. But it's kind of dealt with at the beginning of this film with a little bit of revenge, and then it's really just pushed aside, and it's not dealt with in a really satisfying way. It's almost like they're just kind of washing away the events of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is a shame because that film is actually the best in the franchise so far. The theme song by Shirley Bassey, however, is a very good one, and she's always been a bit of a class act when it comes to the Bond series. I like the theme here. It's probably my second favourite of hers. There is at least one decent action set piece, and that's the fight that Bond has with a henchman in the lift. It's really close quarters, and it's quite a frenetic fight sequence, and like every time Bond goes to throw a punch, because he's so enclosed within this space, he's always hitting something with his elbow or getting in the way of something. And it's a really good fight sequence, and I like the way it's edited and I like the way it's played out. I will also say that the scene in which Bond scales the tower owned by Willard White is also still quite gripping even now. I've always found it one of them scenes that really makes me sweat because I have a genuine fear of heights, and I think that's the way it was shot. I mean, there's a lot of blue screen used, but even so, the way it was shot is very effective, even by today's standards. So far, I'd say that this is the weakest film of the franchise. I would actually put From Russia with Love over this. So I'm going to give this film a 5 out of 10. Okay, so as I said at the start of this video, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to win a copy, an ultraviolet copy of the film Trouble with the Curve. Now, all I want you to do in order to be put forward to kind of throw your name in the hat, so to speak, for that, is like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and comment in the section below. Just tell me anything about your favourite Bond film, whether it's this one or another one that I've not yet reviewed, or one that I already have reviewed. If you do all three of those things, your name will be put into a hat, and in my next video I will draw one of those names out of the hat, and that will be the winner, and I'll declare that winner in my next video. Okay, until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. The theme song by Shirley Bassey, however, is the theme song.